like, take us through like your first week.
Yeah.
Just like your first week when you're locked up. How did you feel,
all
and
a
what was
game
going
to
through your head?
us. It was all a game to
Raw,
us. It was all being arrested was new. I didn't have no background. Like I knew about the police in terms of you don't talk to the police, and if you see them, you cross the road and leave them to walk on the other side of the road and blah blah blah. But in terms of interacting with the police or engaging with them in that kind of way, I never did. So for me at that age, it was just a joke. I didn't understand the severity at the time. So the first time I got locked up, me and my co-D are knocking on the walls to each other, shouting, "Yo, you're right, Lord. What you say? You good? Yeah. Did you have the hot chocolate? Did you have the lasagna? Don't eat the lasagna."
How was the hot chocolate? How was the hot chocolate banging?
The hot chocolate bang.
Yeah.
The hot chocolate, I'm like, yo, give me 3 of those. Yeah. So when reality hit me was when I was going to the YOY. And what happened with me is that while I was on bail for one offence, I committed another offence.
Oh,
and I
think
that's,
double offender. Double offender. Oh, my Lord. Double offender. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Yeah, continue.
I was a double offender, basically. So that just shows you that I didn't understand the severity. I'm already going court for practically armed robbery.
And you're catching another case.
And now I'm catching another case, which is GBH.
Oh,
so
my God.
come on, man.
Yeah.
So, when I got sent down, I cried.
Yeah.
So I think that's when reality kicked in. And then when they closed the door, and I know that can't even get a cigarette. Can't sleep. Because I was smoking from a young age as well. So these things starting to hit me. Can't see my mum. No more family. This is me for a year. So that's when, and I always say the 3 months rule. If you can get through that first 3 months being incarcerated, that's when your mind starts to come to terms with this is reality now. Okay. And it's crazy because I've spoken to a lot of people and that's what they say. Like after 2-3 months, that's when they're kind of settling.
Interesting.
And say, just got to accept it for one, especially if you're doing a long bird, like anything over 12 months. You just know, listen, this is my reality now. I've just got to accept, stop trying to fight them and just sit down and do your time. And that's what I did. And these are the things like, fast forwarding, these are the kind of things that I'm with my PhD research I'm trying to look into, because researching some of the women that have had similar backgrounds to me, that's the narrative I keep getting, that the discipline was too rough and they felt as though they didn't have the support from the family or people outside. And I can totally relate to that. So for me at that time, the discipline was harsh and it was severe and it didn't take in how I felt emotionally, physically, and how it was harming me long term. So
fast forward, when you done your time and you came out of the system and you were freed and you're out into the society again, how was that like for you? Like mentally, where was you and what did you have in mind to do with your life?
You know what? Even though I was playing that role as mentor, tutor, role model inside the prison, I still wasn't addressing my own issues. So at the time in prison, I was just playing the game in order to get out.
Okay. I get it.
But so when I got released, my issues still weren't being addressed. I was on license and I was going probation, but probation weren't doing anything for me apart from I'd go there for an hour and they'd say to me, you know, what have you done over the past week? Have you been trying to look for some sort of education? What is it you want to do? And it'd be that chit chat for an hour and anything I've said to them, nothing would come to fruition. Nothing, they wouldn't say, oh, well, we heard what you said last week, so we've sorted you out a training course. Everything I've done, I had to seek out myself. I had to go college and register myself. You know, even though I had their backing, the groundwork, which you could say that's what needs to be. You need to do the groundwork. You can't be, you can't be force fed. So I just taught myself and I just utilised what opportunities were available to me. However, my offending was still, it wasn't as bad as it was, but I was still very much angry.
Okay.
Of course.
I was still an angry person, so that hadn't been addressed. Anger management, never had that in my life. Don't know what that looked like. I didn't understand that my life was going to change so dramatically, and so because of that I couldn't provide just the simple basic needs for my daughter. So I thought at the time I'm not thinking, gosh, you're going to put her into foster care. That's not even the best system to put her into. I'm not even thinking about the embarrassment and the shame that I'm putting on my family by even inviting social services into my life, because you know what Caribbean people are like.
Of course.
Leave your business at home. You get me, like people outside shouldn't know, and it does leave a stigma. I've had people throw back in my face, you know, and tell me, oh, you couldn't even raise your child. But luckily enough, my grandmother, God rest her soul, because she passed away in 2020, she stood up. She basically come forward and said, you know what, we won't put her into care. I'll take care of her.
I'll take care of her.
So for 10 years, she was living with my grandmother, but the contact was still there.
Okay, rest your grandma's soul, man. Rest your grandma's soul. Literally.
In there, I started to make friends. I was even mentoring people while I was in there as well, like teaching other girls how to read and trying to provide them with a better education and a better start. And for me to even be recognised as someone that could be seen as a mentor or as a tutor at sort of young age, that's kind of when it kick-started, like, oh my gosh, I'm capable of providing care and support for people.
That's why even me proper listening to you. Soon as you said, me even proper listening to you, soon as you said, like, you started helping other people and stuff like that, even my next question was going to be, like, was that when you started realising, like, you know what, I could actually do something. I was never, like, there's a bigger picture than here. I'm not, I'm not meant to really be here. So how old was you, like, all around that age?
14, yeah.
All of those things.
I was released just before my 16th birthday.
So all of those things will happen when you're 14.
When I was 14.
Jesus Christ, if you never put an age onto it, like, I would have thought, like, I don't know, 18, 17 or whatever, because it sounded like a lot was going on when you're 14 years old.
When I was like 13, but because if you know anything about the court process, it takes a long time. Like I said, I went through juvenile, then magistrates. So like it took a year for everything to get resolved. So this was back and forth from court, getting adjourned, and it just kept getting adjourned, and then I remember it, man, February the 21st, I think it was 2004. They were like, see ya. So you were, and even when they were calling my parents, I had the fear inside, but to look at me, you'd think, oh, you know, this girl's just unruly. Look, I'm calling her parents, and it's not even having an impact.
One of them ones.
And I didn't care because I didn't understand the severity. Now that I'm older and I'm looking back, and I understand the dynamics of life and how it works. Now I'm starting to appreciate that and that's why I can now say that my parents weren't equipped at the time to deal with me.
It took me years as well to realise that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even for me, that when I went through my stuff, because again, like I said, I'm from a big family, and we used to get beats as well by our dad, especially our dad. And at the time, you go through a phase where it's like, you get mad, you're like, cool, I did this, but why do you have to keep on beating me without explaining to me or without doing whatever? So I went through a phase of resenting especially my dad, like resenting and thinking he's just a strict person who doesn't love me or whatever. But then, like you said,
from the first time I got arrested, obviously I was scared. It was a new thing, but like I said before, I didn't understand the impact or the severity of what I was going through. And then fast forwarding, I was still offending. So that just shows you that there was no support. There was no, even though they were sending me to the young offenders institution, or they were sending me to probation to do community service, none of these things were having an impact. And you know what they weren't doing? They weren't addressing the concern of why I'm doing this, what's making her offend.
And that's usually the key. Or they keep on seeing kids going back, people going back, reoffending, doing all of these things.
And it's not being addressed. I was on tag. Listen, I had it all. I had tag, community service. I've done it all. Supervision orders. They even put my mum on a parenting class order, excuse me. And nothing, the support wasn't made for us. But even the support that was out there still didn't help, and it's still having issues at home in terms of, you know, fighting back and forth with my mum. I'm getting older now, still don't want to be told what to do, but I'm living under her roof. So I'm battling with that. It's very toxic. Then I got pregnant at 19. Got pregnant at 19, but it didn't change the dynamics in a good way because I wasn't ready for that. However, I thought I was. Hence the reason why my daughter's here.
Yeah, sometimes we
think... Do you know what I mean? Thinking and doing two different things. Do you know what I mean? So, so I had my daughter, and it was kind of a rocky relationship with her dad, you know, a little bit of domestic violence here and there, and I had to get out of that, and then he ended up in prison. And then my daughter got taken away from me. And it wasn't no fault of hers. It was me as a mother. I felt like I didn't have the support, so I reached out for the help. And at the time when I reached out for that, at that point, I said, you know what, just take her. I don't feel like I'm fit for this. It's not for me.
You know what? It takes somebody to even cut.
Yeah, go ahead.
You saying that it takes a very, very strong mother to actually say that. Like, even some mothers that are gonna be watching this one day, they're gonna be like raw. Even though some mothers they're gonna be like, I could never picture myself doing that. But you see, it takes to be like, you know what, like. I want the best for my child, but at the moment, mentally or spiritually, I'm not in a place to give the best to the child. You know what? Like, you know.